Hello, 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 and welcome to the RuCap here on RHAP. We Know Reality TV. I'm your host, Beth Dixon, and today we're going to be discussing All Stars 10. Oh my gosh, episode 5. I was going to say season 5. No, season 10, episode 5. And we have a lot of meat on the bone for this episode. And I am so thankful that I'm joined, as always, by Aman Adwin, who I desperately have been needing to talk to for like days about this. Aman, how are you? And how is your viewing experience this weekend?
Oh man, I mean bracket 2. It's bracketing. Okay, it's twoing. It is giving a lot of a mixed bag of feelings for, I'm sure, a lot of people. So I'm glad to also decompress and welcome to Drag Race All Stars 10, bitch. It is woo.
This is what we wanted when we said we wanted social strategy games being put into Drag Race. Okay, I take bracket 2, put all 6 of them in the Big Brother house for me. Thank you very much. We will be very appreciative of that. If you're going to only take half of them, well, I think we know which queens will love to play the game. So if you don't know what we're referring to, then that probably means you're not ready to listen to this RuCap yet. But for those that are in the know, we're of course talking about some shenanigans with giving out different stars, namely looking at Mistress and Georges. Then we have a monster of a challenge. We have a rap and roast, which I thought was really good, quite frankly. I thought it was a really great way to do a roast. We had an incredible runway, in my opinion. And so this episode to me just kind of was hitting on all cylinders. It was so much fun to watch. There was a lot of frustration. There's a lot of mixed feelings about the episode online. But Aman, I got to tell you, I'm one of the people who's like, I think I loved every single moment of it. Whether or not I agree with the actions of everything, that's a different thing. But I just loved the drama and the talent I got to see showcased on this episode.
Yeah, it just a all-star episode of Drag Race for sure. I think it had everything, like you said. It was very crunchy, lots of tension, lots of drama. The looks were great. The challenge was fun. And it's heating up. It's really just, it's so fun to watch some of these personalities come together and have to sometimes either overstep or temper themselves a little bit. It's been just very, very fun, and it's Drag Race that's making me feel things, right? So I'm excited, and yeah, this is probably the closest to Big Brother we've gotten as far as drag. This is Big Mother, okay?
Big Mother.
Big
Yes,
Mother.
I love that. And you know what? I got to give you, I love you, Monet, but Monet thought she was playing, like a Big Brother Survivor kind of game. Mistress said, bitch, hold all my drinks. I'm going to show you exactly how to play this game. And you know what? As much as I'm sure people are frustrated by the shenanigans of the bait and switch of saying, hey, Nicole and Carrie, if you give us your stars, we're going to give them right back so that everybody has one, and then making them go first so that she can turn to Georges on the couch and go, and bitch, I'm going to give you your star. You're going to give me my star. And then it's 2-2-0-0 for the stars. This is how we start the episode. And Aman, I don't know if you're like me, but because I knew this weekend I had to work reunion weekend for my university, and it was also my reunion, and it's just going to be busy. I took advantage of watching the first look of like 15 minutes or whatever they show on like Wednesday or Thursday. And the way I was like, I think I'm going to skip out on going to like one of the bars or something on Friday night with like my classmates who I haven't seen in 15 years, because that 15 minutes was worth bringing me on in. Let me tell you, it gave me all the life in the world.
Yeah, this was, what a play from Mistress. It's so interesting watching how all of them really walked through this, because I don't know, but did they plan this during the last Untucked? Because I didn't watch the last week's Untucked. I'm not sure if that's when we got to see inklings of this plan coming together, but
A little bit.
it to watch it all go down that way was just crazy. Just Mistress just firing on all cylinders, really trying to work the angle of being a Brooks with Nicole Paige Brooks, and then working the Texas thing with Carrie and Georges, and then roping Georges in, and the psychology behind it being very like, no, I'm doing this for us, Georges. Like, we both deserve to be in the top. Like, they screwed you just as much as they screwed me. So, like, yes, let's right this wrong. And you could tell that even when they both did it, that they were really leaning on each other for support, literally, because they do it. They know how fucked that actually was, and they just do this little.
Which I love, because you know that Mistress is doing it to look funny and shady and like try to like be disarming and be like, oh my God, isn't it so funny? I think Georges, this is my impression. I don't think Georges went in planning. I think that but I do think she has a bite. And I think that she's somebody who's worth going, oh, in this moment, I know I got to get myself ahead in some way. Mistress just presented this to me on a platter. And it's very easy for me to look like the one that was just easily manipulated into doing something in that one moment. So hers is really like the, oh my God, like the thing that we're used to with her hands and her face and like really giggling. And so I love that Mistress is kind of like unapologetic and like laughing about it. And it felt like to me that Georges was very much like bracing herself for impact, and like she was very quiet otherwise. I love looking at Tina Burner and Lydia's faces too, because Lydia, you could tell, was just like in awe. She was like, yes, I love evil people. This is amazing. And Tina was like, that's exactly why I don't like this bitch. Looking at her Mistress.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, like, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be throwing all types of opinions and hoo-ha's at, well, not hoo-ha, but
hey.
ha-has and he's over at Mistress, to a lesser extent, Georges, which, you know, obviously the edit is making it a lot more Mistress heavy, but Georges is right there, girl.
Hello,
like,
she's not complicit.
So if y'all gonna throw that hate at Mistress, make sure you hitting the little skinny one next to her too, okay? But yeah, like, I mean, it is a game. It is a game, and I can't sit up here and talk about how I kind of, you know, if they're gonna put a strategy element into this, then I can't be mad when they try to employ it. And that's what they did. And did it feel a little wrong? Did it feel a little shiesty? Hell yeah. But that's like the name of the game. And you kind of have to, like, if you want to get ahead, and you sort of have to try and do your best to get ahead. It sucked to see Carrie and Nicole get screwed, because they were just like, both of them were just like, damn, we did not know what we signed up for, right? Like, this was not, they were not. And even Mistress is so shady, because she says, you know, do I feel bad? Yeah, because they didn't think that I was gonna do that. Like, so it's like, you're not mad. You don't feel sad that you did it. You feel sad that they didn't think that you were going to do it. It's just like, woo, just diabolical.
I guess ever since All Stars 4, where Manila gets eliminated and everything, I mean, that was the lipstick pulled and heard round the world in terms of strategy for how All Stars is going to go down. And you know that the producers were like, finally, Naomi Smalls put into practice what we wanted, which was bring the drama, because this is going to turn into some sort of a social strategy game. And they've never had a format that really allowed queens to do that until this season. And not saying that they haven't had a format that affected people. I mean, look at how, you know, blocking people for points and, you know, all those different things that they've done in seasons past. But this really is, like, my feeling is, if you want to only have the judges be in charge of your elimination, win the first season you're on.
Yeah.
Otherwise, when you come back to All Stars, you know this is just a platform to reintroduce yourself or show how you've grown. And winning an All Stars crown, and you can hear me say this loud and proud, I'm not saying that nobody deserves the crown or that it's a lesser crown in any capacity, but we know that a part of winning an All Stars crown also means navigating social relationships, unlike what you have to do most of the time in a regular season. So I am kind of all here for playing games with people's minds. If that is a part of the game that is being presented to you and you know it, like, Why do people think that just because you all have a star that you have to get rid of that, like everyone's just going to be equitable and it's going to be fun? Hell no. I would also want to be thinking about it in the way that Mistress did. And I'm kind of happy because with this particular bracket, I wanted some shenanigans. This is the bracket that screams, give us some drama more than any other bracket. So I'm happy that, quite frankly, Mistress and Georges were bringing it for us to be entertained.
Yeah. And then obviously it's perfect ammo for some type of revenge plot to happen next episode. So, I am, as much as I was sort of like living for all of it, I'm also going to be living for some type of comeuppance if it happens.
Yes.
At the end of the day, there's only going to be one winner of this whole shebang. And if the eliminated queens have some type of role towards the end, who knows? So, let's not lose hope that Mistress and Georges won't see their undoing, assuming the two of them even make it, because this could all be for naught. I mean, obviously, mathematically, it's looking more and more likely that they will get to the end now. But yeah, it's what goes around comes around. So you can play the shady game if you want to, but it's gonna come back and get you in the ass at some point.
Get your ass. That is for sure. And that's the thing too, Aman, is like I definitely feel like watching this episode in particular in the roast, and it's a runway, and spoiler alert, not only do Mistress and Georges give themselves 2 points essentially in the very beginning, tying themselves with last week's winner.
Yeah,
Turner,
that's the thing that burns her ass.
Oh, that makes her so mad. And then you've got Lydia, who was just ahead going into this this challenge with 3 points. It does make sense that when you're looking at the kinds of critiques that they got and how closely I would say this competition and this challenge was, I mean, it very easily could have gone different ways. I have some questions for Michelle. Like, do you clear out any earwax before you listen to these performances? Because while I understand that rap can be fast and such, I felt like most of the queens were pretty clear of what they were saying. I did have moments where there were missed words and such, but I was also living for Chapel Roan, which I cannot wait to talk about her as a guest judge either. This episode had it all. And I think that but my whole point being is that I just genuinely think that I don't think it's a lock-loaded situation that Mistress and Georges are just going to be able to move ahead, even though they also win the challenge, because I think it's clear there's this through line that Lydia might be the new Georges in terms of the favoritism from RuPaul. I think I will say that as much as I really enjoyed Mistress, I'm not seeing anything too different from what I would have expected her on her own season.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if she has what it takes to go up against some of the people that I think have already proven themselves in even bracket 1 to win the crown. So unless there's other social strategy shenanigans when they go into the semifinals, I truly think that even, yes, if she makes it into the next semifinal phase, I don't think it's a lock that she's going to just automatically win the crown. I think the comeuppance may not even happen in this bracket if they just work out mathematically. It could work out as like, bye-bye, you don't actually compete as well with the other queens.
Yeah, I mean, that's very possible. I mean, I think the thing about Mistress is that she obviously knows how to play the game, and she knows that, what gives good Drag Race, essentially.
Yeah.
I think Drag Race has been around long enough that many of the contestants these days have been students of the show, so they understand the dynamics. They know what gives good. And I think that Mistress, obviously, she has a lot of positives about her, being that she's a Texas drag queen. She got that southern dragged out style that is very pleasing to the eye. And on top of that, she's not afraid to be shady. She's not afraid to have fun in the diary room. It's very attractive to see that kind of thing on Drag Race. And obviously it's attractive to some of the other queens because you got Lydia, who's really over here playing probably the best game, playing both sides of it all. Who obviously is like a little bit afraid of her, but also is like, I want you to be my drag mom because like you sort of exemplify this like elevated sense of drag that like I'm also trying to get into as a baby queen, as it were. But at the same time, drag, there are so many different types of drag that have been on the show and that are acceptable and that are loved by RuPaul, that like that's not always are you great TV, Mistress? Yes, of course you are. Are you always gonna win Drag Race? Well, we've yet to see it. So it's like so it's like, yeah, like I get it. Like I think that we all kind of assumed that she was going to make it towards the end because she's mistress. But can she grab it in the end? I don't know. It could just be a repeat of season 15 because there are other parts of drag that maybe you're a little bit behind on. And I think that, you know, not to psychoanalyze too much, but I think some of the shadiness of it all, the mean girl act of it all, seems like it could be like a little bit of a shield for her, just a little bit.
1,000%.
So, you know, we'll see how long it lasts.
Yeah, and I also think like we don't know what the semifinals are going to look like, right? It very well could go back to more of a traditional top 2 lip sync and eliminate the bottom queen, you know? And if that is the vibe, that does not necessarily bode well for the people who screw other people over in the first half. So I'm just going to sit back and say, you know what? This is my warm up for Big Brother season. I'm excited for it. I love that we got to see some shadiness. I also want to commend both Nicole Paige Brooks and Carrie Colby for having 2 very different responses to it. I love that Nicole's like, I'm never gonna believe you again, girl. Like, can I just say, I live for her voice. I love that, like, slightly smoker, like, rasp with like the low voice, and it's just all shade, and she just has like that just stoic face to go with it, and then she'll just have a little smile, a little twinkle in her eye that shows you, I'm just like I'm a bitch myself and I don't care. That is why I kind of appreciate that Nicole is one of the people that this happens to, not because I want it to happen to Nicole, but because I know that she's going to give really good TV as a response. And I really feel like she has. She was like in the moment, like, bitch, I don't ever trust you. Like, she had every right to do that. In my own mind, I would also say, no offense, but she also didn't deserve any stars for last week at all. So like, I kind of felt like in some way it was kind of justified. Carrie decides, I'm not going to pretend like this is bothering me. And I'm going to, but I'm not going to forget. I'm not going to, like, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you. Right. So I like that we have 2 very different responses out of this. I like that we have Tina Burner coming into the workroom the next day and being like, next time that you guys have to go first and give your stars first, but then, to jump ahead so much, just because I think this is an important part of this conversation, we're getting some precursors to next week, Aman. We saw Mistress start to really, plant those seeds this week when she said, Georges and I, if we win, Lydia and Tina, if you guys want to get the jump on and know that you are absolutely in the running to go in the semifinals, you guys should do what we did and give each other your stars and screw them over again so that they're both at 0 points, because mathematically you 2 and us 2 will be the ones that are in contention to going forward. I don't know if Tina will do it. I think Lydia's considering it, because we do get this kind of, I don't know if it's about this, but we get this little teaser where Tina kind of confronts Lydia and says, are you on the side of truth, or are you on like the bad side or whatever? And makes me wonder if Lydia tried to do it and Tina wouldn't. And so maybe one of Carrie or Nicole ends up with 1 star and then the other one still is 0 or something. I don't know. But I'm fascinated by it.
It's what are you going to do, Lydia? What are you going to do? It's so interesting, this rising Gaby edit that Lydia is getting, because you didn't really get this like sort of like side to Lydia in her season, because obviously on a regular season of Drag Race, all of the queens are theoretically on the same level, right? Like you're all entering the competition at the same time. Obviously there are going to be the ones that are more seasoned, but you're on a level playing field. You're all equals. Here, there is a little bit of hierarchy that is baked into it, given that there are queens that have been doing it for a long time, and that there are just veterans of the show itself. And so it's interesting to watch Lydia sort of like be the rising star, but also sort of like be in this position where it's like, I'm just learning so much from all of these queens. What do I do? Like it's very interesting, and I don't know what she's gonna do. I mean, because what is she at? She's at 3 3 points.
3 points going into the next episode where they have not yet given out the 4 stars. So
and
we
Tina's
don't
at
know.
2. So if they trade, then she goes to 4. Tina goes to 3. Assuming Nicole and Carrie don't win, they stay at 0. And but then so that they're just assuming if Mistress or Georges win again, they're assuming that one of them will win the lip sync though. So doesn't that mean that just means that Lydia's going to be in the top because Tina can't catch up?
So I think that it makes a lot of sense for Lydia to do it, but not so much for Tina, because Lydia is going to be the one that will have more points than Tina at the end of the day.
And they're allowed to give. Are they allowed to give their stars to people that haven't won, or to people that have won rather?
Yeah, it can be anybody. And so that was
so
the
they
thing.
Could just extend someone else's lead to keep the quo.
And that is also a consideration of what if that's what Lydia does next week? What if she, instead of screwing over the other 2 in terms of like just taking their stars and then just giving her other star to Tina, what if she knows that Tina's, for example, is not going to give her star? I could see her turn around and be like, I'm going to give my star to Mistress because I thought that she really did the best this week and blah, 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 blah. Like, I could absolutely see that. And then Mistress is going to be like, my new daughter, like, she just is looking out for the family. Like, I can just like see all of that unfolding. So regardless, we have spent 20 minutes just talking about giving away stars and drag math and social strategy. And I think that is like predominantly what this episode was really about. But we also had a monster fun challenge, in my opinion, where not only did the queens have to roast each other, they had to do it on a beat to a rap, to the rap and roast.
Yes, it's a rap, it's a rap and roast.
Something about burnt toast. I forgot. Like, it was just, whatever. But it was
it up from coast to coast. It's a rap, it's a rap and roast.
You know what? With the amount of times they played that, I still don't remember the entire like quote unquote chorus or whatever. But I thought that this was a really unique way to do the roast. We've had people obviously rap a lot. And I thought I was going into the challenge, as we said last week, we thought like, okay, so Tina might do well. Lydia won her roast on her season. Mistress is like, that's all she does is roast people. So we thought, in like Nicole, like this is like, she's good at reading people. So I thought this would be a really good challenge. And I'm happy to say, I think I was proven right. I thought that all the queens did really well. Even if I didn't feel like they should have been in the top, I still thought that they did more than a serviceable job. And yes, that even goes for queens who maybe didn't even roast in the more traditional sense. There were other redeeming qualities, I would say, about the performance. So I am going to, in addition to that, we had the Runway, which was Little Shop of Horrors. And wonderful play on Little Shop of Horrors with the plant Audrey 2, which is, this, carnivorous plant and just, the whole 9 yards, murderous plant. And I love that they all had to come out with like some kind of plant inspired look. And some of them did do kind of like a Venus flytrap, which is inspired by the Audrey 2 plant. And then some other people did like cactuses and, lilies and all that fun stuff. So what we're going to do is I'm going to share I will say, expert screenshots that I was able to gather. Yes, they are incredible. And while we're having them on our screen, we'll not only talk about the looks, we'll also talk about their verse, their performance, and what our thoughts were on that. So let me bring on up. Our first performer is Tina Burner. She leads off the roast and she led off the runway. Aman, what did you think of Tina's performance in Runway?
I thought it was a strong opening. She is one that has the hosting job on lock. She's the legend of the New York City drag scene. So I felt like this was something that she was going to do pretty well at. I thought that she gave a lot of energy during her performance. There were parts of it that I felt like dipped a little bit into like, it's a little corny, but Drag Race is a little corny, so whatever. But no, I thought it was good. I thought that I'm trying to remember some of her quips. I know that she called Mistress a monster at some point.
She said that both of the Brooks were bricks. I remember that. And I remember that she said that she really, really, really quickly fit in the phrase, Danny DeVito, I love your work. But she said it like so fast. And it was like, Danny DeVito, I love your work. And I think that that's probably where Michelle was coming in from her. Like, you said things so fast that we couldn't, like, and the enunciation wasn't there. I felt like of everybody, she fit in the most words in her rap, which was not who I expected to be the one who would fit in the most words.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember she called one Brooks you couldn't book, the other one something about her looks.
Yeah.
She called Mistress Danny DeVito.
Yep.
Lydia was Harry Potter out of drag. That Carrie got like Rue ordered Sasha, but Carrie showed up. So I thought that they were all pretty good roasts.
I thought so too, and quite frankly, I felt like she properly roasted each queen, and I do think that everybody had a strength that they provided in the performance and a weakness, and I do think that hers was just she was the one that, because of how many words she fit in, it was hard sometimes to let the roast have space so that you could really understand it before moving on to the next thing, right? Which I do think this was a unique part of this challenge that you traditionally wouldn't have to worry about with a roast. Normally you can let the audience laugh and have space and then, say the next part, right? And have comedic timing. There's no such thing as comedic timing, so to say, when you have a roast. But I think that she proved that you still need to find space to let the jokes, the reads really breathe. And so I think that was her biggest issue. I kind of felt like, especially with this runway, which is like the most beautiful I've ever seen Tina ever on the runway. Like, this is gorgeous. And the really heartwarming and breaking, I should say, story that she says, with her mother, who always used to give her flowers at her shows and say, "You're a star." And she would give that as her note every time. When she comes out, it is it looks like the very top of a flower that's blooming, and it has that note that says, "You're a star, love, Mom." And she discloses that her mother has dementia, and that soon she likely won't remember Tina, and she won't remember her as a performer or even as her son. And that dementia, Alzheimer's, any of those progressive diseases that take away somebody's mind and just effectively who they are at the very core is horrible. And having that moment for her to give an ode to her mother and to share that with the world in such a beautiful outfit, I genuinely thought Tina should have been in the top. That was me, my thoughts from like the moment I watched her rap all the way through this runway. I was like, damn, Tina Burner came to fucking slay. And I loved her in this episode.
Yeah, a very touching story about her mom. And we also got to hear a little bit about Nicole having going through a similar situation with her aunt during Untucked. So yeah, just my heart goes out to her and anyone that's affected by that, because that sounds like I pray that I don't have to deal with something like that in life, because it just seems like one of the hardest things you can deal with. But yeah, a beautiful dress. And yeah, I kind of feel like it's a bit of a read how much people have been like, I have never seen you look like this.
Well, you know what? We'll get to Carrie obviously at the very end, but like she had this moment. She's like, and Tina Burner, who like despite whatever she tries, will always look like a man in drag or whatever.
You know what? We'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll get to it. But I mean, I don't think I've ever looked at Tina and thought that's always a man. I just always thought like that's a drag queen. You know what I mean? And that's not a bad thing. That's literally what the art is. Like, not the point of drag is not always to be passing. And the point of gender in general is not to be passing. But I genuinely do think that, she set up a certain theme for herself in season 13 that we didn't really get to see pink on her. And we didn't see something that was really highly feminine in this way. And then we have 2 weeks in a row where she is just absolutely beautiful and really bringing things at a level that, quite frankly, I expected on season 13 with her reputation. And I'm so happy to see her really coming out of her shell. The tragedy of this is I think because of the way the points work, there is a very real chance she doesn't go into the semifinals, and I think she genuinely deserves it. So I'm very interested to see how this all plays out for her.
Yeah, it's she really did come back to slay, and I'm glad that she is feeling pieces of that validation that she might not have gotten the first time around, and that she is appreciated because, like, yeah, you know, she's a big name, and you know, maybe you didn't do well at Drag Race, but it doesn't mean that you're not a bad it doesn't mean that you're a bad drag queen. So I'm glad that she's seeing the other side of this Drag Race experience for sure.
One thing I neglected to bring up too is that because Lydia won the lip sync last week, she was also in charge of putting together the order in which the roast would happen. Tina is somebody that she has a good relationship with, but obviously she's now Mistress's daughter, and Tina Mistress. So I was curious to see how Lydia would navigate this, and she did not go into her mistress mother ways, and she did mostly honor what people wanted. Tina had said she wanted to be first or last. Carrie really wanted to be last, and so she put Tina first, and I thought that Tina really killed it and set a high bar for everybody. So I would have been intimidated being the next person.
Yeah, for sure. I thought that, like, again, I thought it was a good opener. She gave a lot of energy. And yeah, maybe Michelle was maybe a little wordy because brevity is the wit of soul. Or oh my god, no, brevity is the soul of wit. Jesus Christ, I never get that damn quote correct.
Brevity. It's a thing, and there's some soul, and there's other things as well.
And some stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that she definitely she passed the assignment in going for the jugular with everybody for sure.
Yeah. I agree. I believe I did these in runway order, which is not the same as who performed in the order. So I just want to put that out there. So the next one is Georges that we'll be talking about. If I remember correctly, Georges was like fourth in the order of performance. And she comes out in a Venus flytrap look for the runway, which I got to tell you, Aman, I'm obsessed with this. This is probably my favorite outfit Georges has ever worn on Drag Race. The hair, the outfit itself, it looks so good. It looks costumey, but like in a really high caliber way, right? Like this is the kind of thing that I would expect like Heidi Klum to be wearing at Halloween, right? And then you also like, I don't know, she gives me like, this is a skin for a video game character vibe. And I don't know. I just thought this was one of the most beautiful that she's ever looked, and so cool. But also still very Georges.
Yeah, for sure. It was very cutesy, very fun, very just fashion forward. The hair color is a fantastic choice. Definitely Little Shop of Horrors meets the Batman villain Poison Ivy. I live
K-pop.
For it. Very thematic, very just on the nose in the best way possible. I just love the Venus the fly trap little fangs on most of the edges. Just really gives it that. Just really brings it home and ties it all together. Just perfect. Just a really good look, solid look. As far as her rap is concerned, pretty good. I mean, she definitely had the mic drop moment of the Alyssa Edwards beast quote, which every time you're self-referential in a really fun way, RuPaul is gonna live for that, and so will the audience. So I thought it was good. I thought that she did a good one.
I thought so too. I thought that Georges is showing confidence in a way that we have not seen her had on any of the seasons. Even last season of All Stars, where she came back and she did really well in the roast. I'm going to tell you straight up, she said this like 4 times in this episode and in Untucked. Georges, I love you. You should not have won the roast last season. It was very much like RuPaul loved you, and while you did have really good jokes, you just weren't there yet. You're there. You're there now. I really think that the way that she read the queens in her RHAP was full of confidence. There wasn't hesitation. And I think that the performance and musicality of it is what really helps her, because she is so good at performing with her body. I think that she really understands things when it comes to music and prose and putting it in on a beat in some capacity. I think this actually was probably one of the best things that could have aided her. I did think that I could understand everything she said. I thought she had incredible reads for half the queens, but I did feel like some of the other ones were just like, okay,
yeah,
that's a read, but it's not necessarily like, I didn't go like, oh, the beast moment, like you said, is going to be the thing that, is a mic drop. I don't know what Michelle is smoking, but I want some. But no, she was like, yeah, but she like had a move for every word of the performance. And I'm like, and it was captivating. And I knew who she was talking to. And she still like, I thought that her performance was probably the best. I love that there was just elements of it that I just felt like, but it didn't feel like choreographed. It felt like in the moment, like she was just really like, I don't know, like I really loved what she did for her performance. I loved that she really went for the reads, and I love how she looked. She looked so hot as well in that performance.
And she talked about that ahead of the challenge. She said, that the rapping might not be her strong suit, but the performance part of it is. So really dancing to really punctuate a lot of the reads and burns may have made the reads sound funnier or harsher by proxy. Because just the movement is just so fun to watch. So, did she have like the harshest reads? I don't think so, but I mean, she chose like the best one to end on, like calling Mistress Beast was that was the perfect way to go out. So for sure.
And I think that's like, I remember thinking like, oh wow, she did really well. I could see her in the top, but I didn't think that roast wise she out roasted Tina. So I did feel like for me, it was like her performance really just was the thing that upped it to bypass Tina for the top two, or in the judges' eyes. For me, I do think that Tina should have been the top over Georges, but I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at the additional drama that putting Georges into the top two with Mistress did as well. So. Next up, we have Nicole Paige Brooks from Atlanta, Georgia, or NP. Wait, what was it? NPBFAG.
Yes.
Which I thought she was just saying, FAG is like the reclaiming word, but I forgot that it was. Then when she like tells Chapel Road, she was like, yeah, from Atlanta, Georgia. I was like, oh yeah, like okay, Beth, good job. Like, ooh, that was a mad on my part. But she, I thought that she did pretty well for her rap and her roast. It still came out as like Roxy Andrews doing like, I'm Roxy Andrews and I'm here to make it clear. It had like that kind of vibe to it, I would say.
Yeah.
But the reads were there, Aman.
The reads were probably some of the strong. They were definitely the strongest ones, or some of the strongest ones. I think that her performance, was just a little. I just needed a little bit more. Like, this is hip hop, girl. Like, you have to, you got to feel it. It's got to be like in your body. And I just felt like it was just a lot of just like walking around the stage, just like even like slowly stepping up on the platform, like where you been, Georges, in the colon, like just like and like I like the reads were funny. I just feel like she wasn't giving enough in the inflection, and she wasn't giving enough in her body. I feel like if she had really gone there and added a little bit of Georges in there, obviously not B Georges, but more of what Georges was giving, I feel like she could have been in the top two. But it just wasn't. It just wasn't. She was the noun, but not the verb. Essentially,
yeah, she was she wasn't. She didn't have the energy. She had the reads. It was like everything. She just didn't have that it factor for the performance. She kind of reminded me, as you said, like she was just kind of walking around the stage. I remember thinking as I watched this is giving very Mariah Carey on New Year's Eve. Like, I walk over here now, and like, now I'm gonna go over here. Now, of course, she like actually knew the words and wasn't like lip syncing in a horrible way or anything like that. But that was the kind of, it just felt a little lackluster, and like way she performed it vocally felt very, I'm Roxy Andrews, and I'm here to make it clear, like, I'm gonna do this because I'm Nicole Paige Brooks, and then blah 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 blah, and like didn't have like a roast edge to it. But what she was saying was absolutely some of the strongest reads, in my opinion. I agree with you on that. On the runway, she comes out as a cactus at first, and I thought that was a really cool look, and then she shed it. And I did understand that she was opening up into the inside of the cactus. I did understand that. I think that where she goes wrong is like, I can't get over her being like, this is a snake. Like when she's talking to the judges, because I'm thinking in my head, like, that is a $1 snake toy in like a toy store as you're like going to check out. Drag that shit up, put rhinestones on the snake, make it a big snake, make it something, right? It just felt like everything was a little minute for the inside. I'm not really sure why we had to go inside if there wasn't something super draggy about it. Her face was beat, and I actually really liked this hair a lot. I like the kind of like this the oh my gosh, I'm losing the type of the hairstyle it is, but the I was gonna say Page Boy, but I don't think it's Page Boy. Hair. I just, it's kind of like a pixie cut, but it like a little bit more of like the waves and such. It felt very almost like
a Betty Boop type deal.
Yeah, almost like a flapper, but like in the 2020s instead of the 1920s. You know, I thought that she did a really good job on the runway, especially after last week. You know, where we've been kind of nervous to see what she's gonna pull out. I thought that her performance outfit was great, and like the hair was awesome, and everything was proportional really well. I just think that it was just missing the energy and a little bit of the drag it up if you're gonna deconstruct the cactus.
Yeah, for sure. I think that just the package that she arrived with, unfortunately, while gorgeous and fun and certainly drag, you know, as Michelle said, it's the world stage of drag at this point. Everything has to be big, which unfortunately means for a lot of people shelling out more money. And look, if Nicole ain't got that to do and she's not trying to spend an arm and a leg on Drag Race, but she's there to get the check and she's there for the exposure and she's there to have fun with her sisters and just have a life experience, then more power to her. You know what I mean? Like at some point, like if this were like 3 or 4 seasons ago, I would have been more of the opinion like, bitch, like, don't come on this motherfucking show unless you ain't gonna do you. Like, fuck that shit. Like, but now I'm kind of like, look, I can't care more than the producers do. Y'all didn't have like 10,000 seasons of this damn show. At some point, you're gonna get some queens that aren't gonna be on here with like a freaking Met Gala installation for a package every damn season. Okay, so if that's what she had for this runway, then that's what she had for this runway. I thought it was cute. I thought it was fun. Obviously, some of her sisters ate her up. That's okay.
And that's the other thing too. It's like, Drag Race, in the words of Jasmine Masters, RuPaul's Drag Race don't fucked up drag, right? Because now we have this idea that drag has to be, like you said, like this Met Gala aesthetic or whatever. I love me some like cheap looking drag. This is not cheap looking drag. I just want to put that out there. What she put together here is incredible. And it's not something that I would expect at this level for a queen that was on a season where you went to Wet Seal and then you came on Drag Race. Okay. Yeah. So I want to give her so many flowers for that. Pun intended with the runway theme. But I agree somewhat with like I don't know why we went on the inside if it wasn't going to provide something a little over the top. That said, the cactus itself I thought was amazing.
Definitely anticlimactic for sure.
Yeah. I was like, oh girl, I think you did it in the opposite order.
You put it on backwards, girl.
That's right. Next up, we have Lydia Butthole Brooks Collins, whatever you're going to call her name.
God.
What did you think?
Lydia is just a little drag hoe. Okay, she done went on there and got herself a man. She didn't went on there and got herself a mom. Like, what's next? Like, girl, what?
When she comes back for All Stars 11 because she's going to be the new Georges, she'll
I live for Georges being like, oh no, I'm not me getting a little jealous. I'm like, ooh, yeah, you better claim your spot, girl. Your sugar mama in RuPaul is getting pulled away, sis. A little younger and twinkier queen is coming for the crown.
Okay? Her twink death. Upon us.
It's coming. It's coming.
I was living for that storyline, and I hope it continues.
Yes, I do too. The Battle of the Twinks. I'm here for it.
Battle of the Twinks.
To the death, to the twink death.
To the twink death.
I I liked the look. I feel like I wasn't getting enough of the I mean I see what because it's giving like, prom queen flowers thrown to her type deal. So I see that image. I'm not getting enough of the teeth in the actual bouquet, but I can see it, and I know what she's going for. So I thought it was a cute look. Definitely worth this runway for sure. Mm-hmm. And I thought that her roast was very fun too. I think that she was one of the queens that did a good job at really sort of like interacting with the queens as she was roasting them. Obviously, with the way that some of them were placed, it wasn't economical to have to go all around the stage. But at least with like Mistress and with Tina in particular, she like walked behind them while like really tried to interact with them, touch them a little bit. It really made the roast feel that much more like, oh yeah, bitch, I'm in your face. What you gonna do about it? So I thought that was a lot of fun. I also agreed with I think it was Michelle or Rue who was like, when you came in and said, let's gape these hoes. I was like, yes, like I love the marketing, fun. I was here for it. I was ready for it. As soon as you said that, I was like, all right, I'm in. Let's see what you got. And again, Lydia, for being so young, is really out here showing out and doing a good job. And obviously, yes, we have to always look at this with a lens of like RuPaul loves her, but I don't think that there's nothing to love here. I think that she's definitely here, and she's queer, and she's taking advantage of every single moment that camera is on her. So
yeah, I agree with you. I think that for the performance itself, the RHAP, I thought her reads were good. I didn't think they were the best. I didn't think they were the worst. I thought her performance was good. I didn't think it was the best. I didn't think it was the worst. I thought her enunciation was good. I didn't think it was. I mean, like, she was literally middle of the row and was entertaining the entire time. I do think, like, when she won the roast in season 17, her roasting style in terms of like how she used her voice and tone is very different. It came across as like a little monotone, and this is how I'm going to read, and blah, blah, blah. And I was really curious to see how she applies that in a RHAP that is going to require that you have some levels, that because if a RHAP is just ba 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 ba, it's just like repetitive, then it provides structure, yes, but it also like can easily become monotonous. And I did like that she changed up a lot of the rhythms. I think what held her back was that her transitions were really awkward. And I think that was the only thing that kind of took me out of her RHAP a little bit, was because I was like, oh, okay. So now we're not doing anything like that style. We're going to do something else. And it didn't keep me on my toes in the way that like a really dynamic raptress would. But that said, I want to commend her for rhyming Tina Turner with Kerner instead of corner.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Kerner. I was dying at that. It had nothing to do with the read. It had everything to do with the
language is elastic, okay, honey?
But I do want to say too, like, I love this look, but it came across, like you said, it was like if Lydia Dietz was in Little Shop of Horrors and then going to prom, like you said. I think this look was really cool. I love that it's dark. Everybody else is really bright and beautiful, and hers was very like gothic in a way. Not goth, but gothic. I don't know. I just thought it was really incredible, and we have to assume that she made this as well, which I just want to give her all the props in the world for that. But I felt like everybody else was the plant. I didn't feel like she was the plant. I felt like she was like holding the plant, like it was a puppet rather than like, I don't know. And I don't think that there was any brief that said you had to do one thing or another. It's very easily influenced by Little Shop of Horrors, but I don't know. I thought that she did really well this week, but I think she deservedly was not in the top 2.
I mean, I echo that. I think it was cute. It was fine. And I think that it probably maybe middle high, maybe if I had to like really place her.
Yep, I agree.
But yeah.
All right. Next up, we have Mistress Isabel Brooks, who is one of the top 2 queens this week. I wasn't sure if I felt like upon a first watch that her reads were really that good. And
I don't think they were.
And as I watched it a second time, I went, oh, yeah, okay, they're better than I thought they were. But that still is weird that my first thought was, I don't know. And I really struggled on my first watch to justify her being in the top 2. Upon the second watch, I agreed with the decision, but I don't know. Give me your thoughts here, Aman.
Honestly, I mean, I enjoy Tina's reads better than hers. I enjoy George's reads better than hers, and I enjoyed Nicole Paige Brooks's reads better than hers. So I don't even know if I really would have put Mistress in the top based off of the reads alone. I do think that what she did have going for her was the performance and the execution of the reads. She had a very, very, very like I don't know if melodic is the right word, but just like she understood the cadence of her verse very, very well, and it sort of like built up to this grand finale of Arrivederci, hasta la vista, bitches, whatever she said at the end. It just kept ramping up, which is always very pleasing to hear in music. So I think that was great, but like the reads themselves were just fine, especially for someone who likes to read on the regular and be shady on the regular. I was like, I feel like you could have went harder. And also, like, well, we've also heard her talk about like how she always has to feel like she has to rein it in because she can go for the jugular pretty quickly. So maybe this was the second draft or the third draft, and what we could have gotten was a lot worse than what she actually gave. I don't know, but I mean, I thought it looked like to me what RuPaul responded to the most was just the performance of it all, because the reads were whatever. And like, so if being wordy was really the worst of what Tina gave, then I feel like I still probably would have given it to Tina. And like I said, if Nicole had given a little bit of what even Mistress was giving, bitch, that she could have won this. She could have won this.
No, it's so fascinating because I do think that Mistress had I think that Mistress had the best performance, like you said. She and what you had said with Lydia being able to indicate to people, Mistress was indicating like crap to every single person. She knew where everybody was, and she was able to put her entire body, the inflection of her tone, the cadence, like you said, into that. Plus, her look was the best look of everybody rapping to like fit the vibe, right? She really went for the hip hop kind of vibe, right? And I kind of feel like you can't deny how important a look is in helping to portray the character, the performance that you're trying to do. I genuinely think if you listen to just her verse without visual aids, that you would probably agree that she should have been in a high mid situation, but not in the top 2. But when you go and watch her again, it's really fun to watch her read. It's just that those reads weren't good. I get the point, or I get the sense that she is somebody that is reactively vicious. But on, a planned kind of thing is not necessarily going to be somebody who could just like, oh, let me put this into a rap so that it's great, because I really do think that she doesn't necessarily want to start stuff unless it's for entertainment reasons. I think that
she does it for the plot.
She does it for the plot, but I don't think she is just going to be a horrible human being out of nowhere. That said, I could be very wrong, and there's been plenty of opportunities to go, Beth, are you sure about that? I just get the sense that she is shady for entertainment, for the plot, for television, for that kind of thing, for social media. But she's genuinely really well liked within the drag community with drag artists as well. And drag artists love people who are shady and want to do it for the plot. clearly you have people like Lydia who are drawn to that, you know? So I just think that maybe she doesn't know where the line is in order to keep the peace and to do something like this in a challenge while also, you know, trying to be really rough. That said, I don't know. I just felt like her performance was magnetizing to watch. And so I was fine with her getting the top 2. Just felt like her reads were a little weaker than what I expected for her. When you compare them to everybody else, I still think they were some of the better reads, but I do agree that I think Nicole Paige Brooks had the better reads had better reads than her. But she just really lacked in the performance, and Mistress gave. In terms of the runway, this is so interesting because it's not something I expect from Mistress, and I do think it looks really good, but I can't get, and this is so, I know, potentially very shady of me, but I can't get the Ginger Minge All-Star 6 entrance look of the Glamour Toad that was so awful out of my head. Like, this is like a good version of that. And I think it's because it's similar colors and like aesthetic. Obviously, this is a different inspiration and those kind of things. But just knowing that Ginger is also going to be on the season, I don't know. I just kind of felt like I was like, oh, I wish it was different. I don't know.
That's all I thought about immediately was the Glamour.
Really? Okay, good.
I just thought about feeling froggy the whole time. I was like, is this an homage? Like, what's going on? I wasn't a big fan of Ginger wearing it. I'm not a big fan of this one either, but I guess that's sort of the point of this type of look, is that it is
point.
Yeah, it's not meant to be something that's like, you know, that visually pleasing, and not every runway has to be.
Right.
So in that regard, if that's what she was going for, yeah, A+ sister. But
well, and let's be honest, this is infinitely better than anything that Ginger did with that Glamour Toad look. Okay, like everything proportionally is correct with this. I do kind of wish her head was like the headpieces were a little bigger. I wish that was the part that was maybe a little bit bigger, but
yeah,
this is fitted. This is
it kind of is giving coronavirus, not plant to me. That's what it's giving.
Not coronavirus.
It's giving
God, Mistress and her COVID outfit.
COVID-19, honey.
Jeez. Oh gosh. Well, so I do think like I do kind of think that Georges and Mistress, because of the drama, it was very easy for production to go, listen, they did well. We could justify the being at the top. Let's see what these queens do when we put them in the top. I do think that there's probably a little element of that.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
For sure. I'm sure. I am absolutely sure.
All right. Last and I think kind of least when it comes to the drag for the rap performance here, we have Carrie Colby. Now, I want to start with the positive, which is that this runway was put her in a Victoria's Secret runway ASAP, people. This runway, she came out and it was already visually incredible. She tears away and I fell out of the bed I was watching this in. I disturbed my neighbor who was my colleague, and she literally came into the room and went, "Are you okay?" And I said, "This woman is gorgeous." And she went, "Okay, you're fine." And then she left. This was outstanding for a runway. Holy crap.
Yeah, that was insane. There are a few times I think during the Drag Race runways that make me audibly gasp, like gay gasp, and I was like, especially, I mean, when she came out, it was already gorgeous enough, and then when the tearaway was like stays behind her, so she sort of like rips herself out of it, I was like, oh my god, this is just just amazing. It's just so fun to see so many of the trans queens come on the show and just give it to us with the body yada yada, because like they have been sort of like, this is who they've been for so long, and maybe, you know, the outward didn't always match what was going on inward, and now that it's those two things are more in alignment for a lot of these queens, it's so fun to see them feel themselves and just come out and just be who they are and just be like, I don't care. Like, is this raunchy? Yes. Is this revealing? Yes. Is it me? Yes. I'm here.
I
What are you
want
gonna
you to
do about
know,
it?
if this is what Carrie Colby is like on the inside, I'd like to find out for myself, okay?
Let me
We'll
pluck
leave it at
that
that, okay?
petal, honey.
We'll leave it at that. I know this is a weird transition to this, but the shoes, unreal. I didn't even notice
Yeah.
them until they did, like, a pan on the way up, and I was just like, "If you could have, like, piranha plant shoes, those are it." It was
Mhm.
just I was like, "Irene is gonna be like, 'Give me those! I can make an
Yeah.
alien look with that.'" The hair, outrageous. Her face, beat. She looks so effing good, and she looked really good in the performance, and that's about the most. And her flow was really good.
The little Spanish in there was fun.
And I really, with her saying that she wanted to go last and that she's, is somebody that likes to rap and that she does, I was kind of expecting that she was really going to come out here and give it to them. But I appreciate what she was thinking with trying to be different from other people by not actually going through each person and reading. But that's not a roast.
Right, like, that's what I was saying, like, she read them more in her little diary room segment. I wrote it all down. She said, "Lydia knows that she's awkward, skinny, and brand new. Nicole knows that she's old as fuck and is struggling to keep up. Tina Burner knows that she is and for always and forever always will be a complete man in a wig." And then she, like, read all of them down. She called Mistress big.
She
It's
said,
just like
Mistress knows she's big. Georges knows that she's tiny like a child.
like,
I
you
was
had
like,
all
"Why
this
did you
heat for
say
them in the
that?"
diary room, and then you were like, "I'm gonna think outside of the box and like not roast you guys." What do you mean? So you're not gonna do the challenge? I just like what?
And
Why?
and she said, like, one thing that was generally about all of them, but it ended up being more like her hyping herself up, like, as if it was you know, I'm like any other kind of like RuPaul, write your lyrics about how amazing you are kind of thing. I was like, "Girl, that is not what this challenge is." If
Ugh,
somebody puts a beat behind what she did in the confessional, top 2 for the week, baby. That's
yeah.
literally like that's what was so frustrating about this.
So it's like so you know you know how to do it. You know how to read, okay? But you just chose not to. But again, I guess, girl, you look great. You look
But
great.
she did look great. Yes.
You're
I
doing amazing, sweetie.
I just anytime she's on my screen, I have like everybody else in America, like this is not brand new information. I have such an incredible crush on the Colby House. Like Sasha and Carrie, I could just look at them all day long and just be
Mhm.
happy. And in this case, it further proved that all I need to do is look at Carrie to be happy. I don't need to listen or pay attention to if whether or not she's doing anything that she's supposed to for the challenge. Um, but my God, I mean, uh, if only she had just done her confessional as a rap, it would have
I
been
know.
perfect.
I
It would have been
know.
great. Well, those are the looks. As we said, Georges and Mistress make it to the top 2. And they lip sync to Chapel Roan's Hot to Go. We will talk about actually before we get into that. What did you think about Chapel Roan as a judge? Because I am about ready to say, girl, get on season 18 and compete as drag queen.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice to see Chapel as a judge. I'm not gonna call myself a Chapel fan because like I really don't know much of her stuff like that. I'm
Mhm.
definitely getting to be a part of that I'm becoming one of the old guard of the gays, right? Like these new girls, it's getting harder and harder to keep up. God damn it. But I do, from what I can see, I think that she's definitely fun. I do like all the stuff that I have heard from her. And I'm glad that she got a chance to come on and like really make it clear like how she feels about the community because so many people online get so judgmental about
Yeah.
her maybe not necessarily wanting to always speak out on politics. And she said, I'm not a politician, so why do I have to be the one that has the opinion on everything? It doesn't mean I don't have an opinion. It's just mean I'm not always the one that you have to come to for that. And I completely understand that. And, she doesn't have to speak on it, but she can make her opinions known by appearing on shows like this and having the commentary and the things that she had to say, and employing drag queens at her shows. I think that says more than enough about how she feels about it. You can read the context, Blues Girl. Like, it is what it is. So yeah, I thought that she was fun. I love that she was a little shady with Michelle. That was fun. Yeah, it was a good time.
In her outfit, I love the blow up doll look with like the legs and everything. Like that to me, like she is already somebody who her makeup style is already very camp. Over exaggerated, which she's on multiple occasions said has been influenced by drag queens, because she's like, to me, that is beauty, and I want to emulate that in my own femininity. So it's also a great example of how Drag Race, and just drag, not Drag Race, but how drag in general, yes, is a commentary on what we expect out of gendered expectations of look and act. I can't talk. I don't performance. They were not act and act. What am I can't speak English. But she also, I think, like her music is unapologetically queer. Like she is somebody who is more than happy to talk about her sexuality, and she is somebody who, like you said, I mean, she's employing many different kinds of queer artists and drag queens and drag artists. She is also, I think, like an epitome of a Gen Z person as well. And we have to remember that they are young. Okay. They are still trying to figure themselves out in the world. Just because she has the confidence to be who she is doesn't mean she has everything figured out for herself, let alone for other people as well. So I loved having her on the show. I thought that she gave incredible critiques. I love that we got to see her on the episode and an Untucked interact with the queens. I thought that she just did a great, great job. And I love when a guest judge can come in and be confident enough to say, Michelle, your opinions are tired. And then she didn't say that, but she basically wanted to be like, must be because you have old ears, because I could hear everything fine. Like, and I was like, you better go after her, because I do agree that there were parts of that was like, I think it was fine, Michelle, but
again, Michelle's getting ate up this season.
I,
drag is a costume. I love it. Do you love it? She loves it. Yay!
We all love it. Yay! I mean, God, Aja, I will be saying that until the end of time. Put that on my grave. Do you love it? We all love it. Yay! I think there's something that I always have to keep in mind, is that I'm sure what they hear in a studio is very different than how it is filtered through for television. So it could be that maybe it was just very hard for Michelle to hear things in a speaker in a live environment. Okay, I don't know. But I do enjoy Chapel just coming out and say that. So the lip sync was Hot to Go by Chapel Roan. And also timeout. I love when Chapel said at the end of the song, she was like, oh my God, that was so good. I'm going to cry. Just like a really quiet thing. It wasn't even like the camera was on her or anything. You just hear her say that. I thought that was cute. When they announced that Georges is the winner first, did you agree with that before seeing that Mistress was also going to be winning?
I think so. I thought that I mean, I'm always gonna be a little bit biased towards Georges, but I think that she just sort of like gave a bit more for the song. I thought that, obviously Mistress was no slouch, but I did enjoy Georges's interpretation of it a bit more. And I would have been fine with just Georges winning the point. And so when Mistress was like, damn, I was trying to figure out like what I was gonna do to get I was like, girl, you kind of lost, but it's okay. Like, it's okay.
I would say I think I enjoyed Georges's performance more, but Mistress served face in a way that Georges didn't. And Georges has this sometimes where I don't know if it's the contacts that she puts on when she's in drag, but like her eyes, I think this is why she was so good at the Megan dance last season, is because like her eyes can be just a little robotic when she's performing everything. And that's when and this song is so full of like energy that I wasn't getting that. I got like robotic eyes from her versus Mistress was giving me facial levels. But that said, I would have given the win solely to Georges. I just truly think the producers, RuPaul, everybody was just going, let's just see how far we can milk this Georges mistress versus everybody else drama and see, will Lydia follow mistress or follow Tina, or how's it all going to work? Yeah, exactly. I can't wait to see how this turns out. I think it's going to be fantastic. Anything that we missed that you want to discuss from this episode, Aman?
No, I'm good. I'm excited to see how this plays out. I think we can kind of see how it's going to go, but there's still a little bit of intrigue left for this bracket and just for the season in general. Remind me, it's only one queen that gets to join them at the top 10, right?
Right. So from what I understand, I think all the regular judges will choose a queen that did not make it farther to put them into a random draw, and then one of those queens
got it. That's what it was. Okay.
Will go into the Lipsync Lollapalooza for the crown.
I feel like Tina, if she doesn't make it through, will definitely end up in that pool, because I think that the judges really appreciated what she's been serving this season. So I hope that if she doesn't move forward, which she still could, because she could win. And yeah, she could win, and that would bring it to 4. And then if there's
as long as Lydia doesn't get a point, and if she doesn't win next week, Tina also has to get points from the other queens this week,
which definitely is more likely to happen, given that Georges and Mistress will not be getting any points. So
exactly. So I do think that there's a path for her, but I do think that it does require Lydia not going for it. I think it is hard at this point to imagine that Georges and Mistress do not move forward, which I do not think is shocking going into this. I think it's more shocking how it came to happen, and that's amazing.
Like Carrie being able to screw one of them over, like assuming, let's say Georges does, or Tina does win, Nicole Paige Brooks gives the point to Tina. And then Carrie has to either decide between the other two, Georges or Mistress, and she decides to give it to Tina. Ooh.
See, this is why I think this structure is so much better than anything that we've done before, because it does open up so many possibilities for shadiness and putting queens in positions that are tough to try to figure out, who do I actually want to benefit when I can't benefit myself, or if I'm already out of it. And I think, unfortunately, I don't think there is any way for Carrie and Nicole to feasibly move forward at this point. Even if they got a star from somebody, they would have to get 3 stars, I think, in order to be anywhere near. And I don't think 3 queens are going to give one person a star this week. So I don't know. I think that I also, like, no offense to them, but I don't see Nicole or Carrie being somebody that a judge will put in for the drawing. When we compare to the first bracket, I think that they would be more likely to put Deja or I think well, I don't know. I think maybe I'm wrong here. I think maybe Deja, at least Nicole was considered for the top this week. I don't know. I guess we'll discuss that at another time when we have all the brackets at that point done. But I think I'm going to predict that it's going to be Georges, Mistress, Lydia going into the next round. And I think that's really too bad for Tina, because this, again, is now going to show that, like, I quite think that Tina has been the best performer of this entire group. And all-stars be all-starring. Win your first season if you want it to be more equitable.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. I mean, good for Lydia that she was able to come back so quick and be as successful as she is, if it works out for her. But yeah, it always comes at the expense of some of the other queens that you also want to root for. But that's, that's the dilemma when you have so many people that are enjoyable to watch and that you want to root for each season. So
exactly,
there can only be one.
That can only be one. And it doesn't mean that, like, they're getting shot out behind the barn when they don't make it through. So if anybody is upset, and I know there are a lot of people who are upset this week, and you want to support Nicole, Carrie, Tina, whoever, go out there and support them. Go out to their shows, buy their merch, hype them up on social media, and do all those wonderful things, because those are just as important. And exactly why those queens are going on television again is to reintroduce themselves and to show growth and to continue to grow their own fan base. So it's absolutely not the end of the world if she doesn't make it forward, but it would be a huge bummer just given how great she's been performing. Aman, what are you up to and where can people find you?
You can find me everywhere at Aman Adwin. You can catch me talking about Big Brother contestant trying to figure out who is going to be the best of all time, bracket style. 6 enter each episode, only 3 will move on. Me and Matt Lagori have got that going on over at the Diary Room podcast. Make sure that you check that out anywhere that you get your podcast. And that is it for me.
Yes. It's true story. All Stars 10 got their bracket inspiration from the Diary Room podcast. That is why you should all.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
And you can catch me at Beth-Dixon on Blue Sky or at AugustaWind11 on Instagram. I am holding it down here with Aman. I want to just be proactive and say I apologize that some of our episodes have been a little later than normally what we would put out there. It's a busy time of year for both of us.
Yes.
So
happy Pride season, everybody.
Yes. And that's the last thing I wanted to say was happy Pride. We are officially in June. It is Pride Month here in America. And whether you were out or in the closet, if you are old, young, whatever your pronouns are, whatever your sexuality, if you don't have a label, if you do have a label, whatever it is, know that we are so proud of you and we celebrate with you as two fellow wonderful, prideful queers. What up? Hey. So happy Pride. Thank you to the whole RHAP team behind the scenes. As it is also the beginning of the month, we highly encourage you to become a patron at RHAP. And you can subscribe and get access to various different kinds of, Facebook groups and Discords and viewing parties and everything else in between, other kinds of podcasts. And yes, I do even like to drop in the Discord from time to time and say, girl, did you watch this episode? So please, please, please become a patron and support our shows. Leave those likes, ratings, and reviews for us wherever you watch podcasts or listen to them. And we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.